Okay, welcome everybody. We're up to Chaf Aleph Amid Aleph. We're at 2, 4, 6, 7 lines down. Very, very nice. I got it. A very, very nice Gemara. And we'll conclude the parak today. So Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rav, B'shah sheYisrael oil l'regel, in the time when Yisrael would go up to the regel, ondim tzfufim, they would stand gekvetched. In other words, the lashon sofaf means to float. Rashi seems to say that the people were so close together that your feet were off the ground, so you were floating. People were so packed together. Umishtachvim revachim, but when they would bow down, they would bow down revachim. They would bow down with 4 amis. Rashi says this, even though it says regel over here, Rashi seems to say on Yom Kippur, where a person will be mizvada v'achet, so other people shouldn't hear. Other people should hear the chait, so they were 4 amas apart. So they really a great distance. Achas esrei ama, and they were mashach. They were drawn 11 amas after the Beis HaKapiris. What are you talking about? It's the beginning after with the end. So hachikama. Even though they were standing 11 amas to Achur Beis HaKapiris, we're going to see an illustration in a second. And when they were there, they were so packed. When they bowed down, they would bow down with space. So let's see this Rashi. Let's see this diagram, and I'll illustrate what's going on according to Rashi. Guys, you can see this, right? Look at the article, guys. Look at the diagram. Okay, so now you would have all along here, people would come in the side. They wouldn't come in the front, they'd come in the side, according to Rashi, and it would be filled up, starting from the Ezras Yisrael through Ezras Kahanim, all the way in the side over here, and up till here, in the back over here, the back of the Kodesh Kedoshim, there was an area. So this area was filled with Yisraelim, which is a Chiddush Nifla, but according to the Yavitz, they were Kahanim. But according to Rashi, they were Yisraelim. And even though they were so packed in this area that they stood together, when they would come to bow down, now they're going to be bowing down, guys, look at this, in front of the Heichal. They're going to be bowing down in front of the Heichal, right? They will be able to bow down. There'll be 4 amas for each one. So, in other words, it's amazing. They were oindim tzfufim to the degree that they were packed all the way to the back of the Kodesh Kedoshim. But when it came to bowing down, they made their way to the front of the Ulam, the Fnei Hashem, and they would bow down over there, and they had enough room. Again, it doesn't say, it's again, it's Rashi learns Yisraelim. According to others, it was the Kahanim. But Rashi says Yisraelim. Again, it could be mixed together. It's not lav dafka. There's no either Rabbi. The question is over here, how Yisraelim were allowed over there. Again, that's the question. Again, that is the question. And there's opinion that maybe on Yom Kippur they were, or the regular they were. But that's the chiddush of oimdim tzfufim mishtachim revachim. It's a much bigger chiddush than the way you usually learn. You just usually learn they're in one space, and in that space, despite the fact they were packed together, when they bowed down, there was 4 amas. This is a much bigger chiddush. Here's what it's saying. It was so packed that it was the length of the Azara all the way to the back of the Kodesh Kedoshim. Yet, when they had to bow down, they came in front of the Ulam, everybody, and they had 4 amas, which is a much huger chiddush. It's unbelievable. You never learned that way. It's an unbelievable chiddush. Rashi says it before. Look at Rashi. Rashi Hachi Kamar. Go down. Right, go down a little bit before it gets wide, about 15 lines up. Hachi Kamar. It's going in the Reisha. Before they bowed down, they filled up the whole length, extending to the back. Hachi Kamar. Even though there were so many people that stretched to the back of the Kapayres, and they had to stand. Sfufim, me mamish floating because of the amount of people. Afilu hachi kishahayu kulam mishtachvim boyim lemizrach hamizbeach. They came to the east of the mizbeach mitoich hazara umishtachvim lehechel ubirevach. Rashi says in the first. Never went that way. It's Pelagic, right? You always learn that they were in the place they were. They bowed down, and this is a big chiddush. They managed, but Rashi and first Rashi, the way Rashi learns, it's unbelievable. Avaita, beautiful. So, what? Chaf Aleph Amid Aleph. Chaf Aleph Amid Aleph. Okay. Chaf Aleph Amid Aleph. Okay. And this, the fact that they bowed down, despite the fact that they were so bedoichik, when they bowed down, that there was enough room to bow down, that was what one of the 10 nisim, that none, the Mishnah Navos. Asar nisim nasu bebeis hamikdash, lo yipilu isha merech b'sara kodesh. Women, someday when especially when they're pregnant, they have those of us that wives are pregnant. We know they can have a bit of a strange request, and also at the worst times. Yeah. So l'chayra. So sometimes the meat, they have a type of meat, and despite the fact they smell the meat, l'chayra they were never mapel, even though they couldn't eat it. That's one. For yasriach basar, the basar was not masriach. Now, the basar could be on top of mizbeach lina for quite a big period of time. If it's on mizbeach, you don't have to worry about nicer, and it could be there. And nonetheless, if it's one day old, what's the big chiddush? It could have been on the mizbeach for a few, who knows how long, and still it wasn't masriach. That's a chiddush. Despite all the blood and the meat in the butcher shop, there never was a fly. That's pelaplayim. And it never happened that the Kohen Gadol saw carry on Yom Kippur. It's unbelievable. This whole first parak is to avoid this problem, and it was a nest that never happened. So this is a raya in some chalanes. This is a raya in some chalanes. They never found the psul tuma, or it was made incorrectly. As we just mentioned, despite the fact that there was in Yerushalayim, there are scorpions and snakes, no one ever died in Yerushalayim as a result of a scorpion bite or a snake bite. Right. The Tiferes Yisrael, who lived much later, Tiferes Yisrael was in the 19th century. He writes, I have written down over here, that two people, it seems to be in his time, that they came to Yerushalayim and they saw each other and they said they never heard it, even currently. It seems to be that nest is what the Kedusha of the Beis HaMikdash, Kitchel Shaita, the Kitchel Datzalava is enough to protect from scorpion bites and snake bites. Bisman hazeh. And my Eretz Yisrael is I know someone who did have a scorpion bite. I know someone who got a snake bite from people. Yeah. They put on the slipper by Elena when there was a scorpion in the slipper. It was not geschmack. Yeah. Okay, so that was an S. And a person never told his friend, Sarli Hamakoim, I went to sleep in Yerushalayim. Maybe people came up for the regel, and it was never a problem. They never, it's sometimes you go away to, I learned Pshat, just go away to a strange house to sleep. They never had a problem. Whenever they went to Yerushalayim, Pshat Yerushalayim, I think Pshat didn't belong to anybody. So it belonged to everybody. And really you felt, this is my place. Maybe that's Pshat. Fred the Gemara, Pasach b'Mikdash for Sayim Yerushalayim. You said there were 10 nisim in the Mikdash, correct? And you end up saying that, guess what? No snake bites in Yerushalayim, and everyone felt comfortable in Yerushalayim. We're not discussing Yerushalayim, we're discussing the Beis HaMikdash. Why all of a sudden you choose 8, and then the last 2 you go ahead and bring in Yerushalayim when we're discussing the Beis HaMikdash? And for the Gemara, you're right. Delete the last 2. Delete snake bites and delete everyone felt comfortable, because we're not discussing Yerushalayim, we're discussing the Beis HaMikdash. I'm going to give you 2 more miracles that took place in the Beis HaMikdash. Titania, may oilam lakovik geshamim eish shal atzei ma'aracha. The fire never put out the fire. Rain, despite the fact that it rained, it never put out the fire in the maracha. The fire was always lit, despite rain falling on it. It was always lit. That's number 9. For number 10, v'oshen maracha, and the smoke of the maracha. Afilu kol rucha sheba oilam boyis u'menashvais boy. Even if all the winds in the world would come and blow it, ein mazizin oislamim koimer. They wouldn't move. They put it would go straight up. The smoke of the marach would go straight up. Yes, you had a question? No roof on the base of the and the Azara? In the Mizbeach? Nope. No. In the Heichel there was, not in the Azara.
They covered with the skin by.
That's the Azara. That's the Heichel, not the Azara. You'd smoke up the place, you would die. How could you? Right, you look at the picture. No, it was in the. Okay. Anyway.
Very interesting. By the coin, you worry that you have a coin nachla because it's not sent from the place. But to let people into the Azar, you don't close the doors and you say, okay, let's see enough that dollar out. Your eyes on that base.
I don't know. I don't.
You let people in.
I don't think. And so you let people in. They bow down. There's no anticipation that you're going to have 4 amas. I don't think you're saying that. I don't think you're saying that. No. Again, you'll be stuffed. You'll be stuffed. They came in. Again. Okay. So now we have our 10. We deleted snakes and scorpions and being comfortable in Yerushalayim, and we added the smoke of the maracha and the rain. You only have 10 nisim. Vatanya. Rav Shmaya Kalnaboy, it's the name of a place. Shivrei klicheres nivloyim bim koimam. Now, if you want to think about a mess, think about broken pottery. Listen, what do we know about a klicheres? A klicheres that absorbs something, it never comes out. You have to break it. If you have a klicheres and it has an absorption of isser, of a taruvis, it's usser. There's no kashering of klicheres. You have to break it. Any kli that was used for kachim has an absorption that becomes nicer. It becomes left out overnight. Therefore, it had to be broken. So you had an enormous amount of broken pottery. You had to break it. So what did you do with it? So says the Gemara, you know what happened? Klicheres nevlayim bim kaima. The klicheres, they went ahead and they got absorbed in their place. They got got buried. They sunk into the ground. For Amar Abaya, a 12th nest. Moira, v'noitza, that's the crap and the feathers of an oilis oif that was separated from the bird before you burnt the bird. V'disha mizbeach hapanimi, and the ashes off the golden mizbeach of Ketairis. V'dishin ha-menorah, and the ashes from the menorah. Nivloyim bim kaima, all of them were nivloim kaima. So l'chayra, you have more than 10, you have 12. If you add the absorption of a klicheres and of the ashes of the mizbeach zahav and the menorah, and there you have what? 12. And for the Gemara, psule til sahave. When we consider the psul, we never found the psul guys in the oimer and the shtei lechem aponim. That was one. In other words, we counted them as 10. If you count those 3 as 1, now you have 11. So they're considered 1. So afik tray, I'll tray. So therefore, go ahead, delete 1 and delete 2 and put in 2. So it works out. We'll delete 2 and put in 2. Yihachi blue and nami tray havi chashvina b'chad. Blue and also the klicheres being absorbed and the dishun, the ashes being absorbed. Let's consider them as separate entities as well. And chasrulhu, and then you're going to be missing 1. You only have 9. And I got a 10th one. There was a tremendous nest that took place with the lechem upon him. When you took it off on Shabbos, it was the same way as when you put it on the Shabbos before, meaning it was still fresh. Not only was it fresh, it was smoking. I'll prove to you in a second. Shenemar losum lechem choyim b'yom ilachchay, to place lechem choyim in the day of its taking. So l'chayra you have 10. You have 10 now. You only have 10. Ve'omar Levi davizem asar b'yadeinu me'avasenu makam orin eina min amida. The makam of the orin does not go ahead and take up space. So guys, the Kachei Kedoshim was 20 by 20. Okay, 20 by 20. The orin was in the middle. If you measure from one side of the orin, it was 10. If you measure from the other side of the orin, it was 10. Meaning the orin did not take any volume. It did not take up any space. How is that possible? That's an S. That's an S. That's an S. It's an S that it's unbelievable. I'll tell you what I think pshat is. I think this. I mean, this is my own pshat. I don't know if it's true. We know HaKadosh Baruch Hu has no form. The English word is incorporeal. Corpse is a body, right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu is incorporeal. He's without a body. By he ben Sa'aron vayom Moshe Kuma Hashem. It was when the Aron traveled. Moshe said, "Get up, Hashem," because Hashem, the Shekhinah, lived by the Aron. Second bias, no Shekhinah, no Aron, no Shekhinah. Correct? That's why it was there. So in Mela, if Hashem has no physical form, his abode where he lives by the Aron can't have a physical form. So Mela, it's there, but if you measure it, it's not. And that's what I think Pshat is in Oimdim, Tzfufim, Umishtachim, Revachim. It's again an idea of space. There's no space concept of space and taking up space in Hashem's abode because Hashem takes up no space. It's an extension. Those nisim are an extension of HaKadosh Baruch Hu being without a form, and it would go ahead and it would permeate throughout the Mikdash. So that's my deher and looking at it. So l'chayra, you have that ness. V'om Rav Noi, Am Shmuel, Kruvim b'nes ha'yoimdim. Shlomo HaMelech made Kruvim, and they go also from side to side, and you measure them, they have the same issue. And for the Gemara, Nisim Debroi Kachashiv, with the 10 we're considering are the Nisim that are outside, not the Nisim that are inside the Kodesh. Nisim Degavoy, the Nisim that are inside like Kachashiv. So therefore, Fred Gemara, Ilachi, Lechem Aponim Nami Nisim Degavoyhu. The Lechem Aponim also was a nest that took place inside. You're telling me you're only considering the Nisim that are outside the Heichel, that's in the Azorah, that you can quantify. So you're telling me the nest of the Lechem Aponim that it was hot. You didn't see it was hot. The Lechem Aponim was in the same place it was inside. You didn't see it. And for the Gemara, Lechem Aponim Nisa Debroihu. The Lechem Aponim, in fact, is considered a nest Debroy. It's considered a nest that takes place outside. Why is that? Damrei Shlakish, my dichsiv, ala shulchan ha-tahar, when it says on the shulchan that is pure. So when we say the shulchan that is pure, tahar mechlal shu tamei. We can make an inference. If it's tahar, we can infer that it must be also the possibility that it's tamei. Fred the Gemara, how could you say it's tamei? Kli'etz ha'asil nachasu. It's a kli'etz that's made to stay in one spot. V'chol kli'etz ha'asil nachas einu makabel tuma. And not only that, v'chaitzes b'nei tuma. Because we have a lachis in Hilchas Tuma. If you have a wooden kli that stays in one spot, it's not makabel tuma. The shulchan is considered a shulchan ha'etz, even though it's covered with gold. Tosfos points out that it's called eitz. The Rachmana calls it eitz. It says hamizbeach eitz. So it's called the mizbeach of eitz. So it's an eitz. So the question is, if it's asli and nachas, so it can't be tamei. It can't be tamei. So not because you don't move it. You don't move it. And for the Gemara, listen to this teretz. El malamed, it must be shemagbiin oisai. They would go ahead and lift it up. La'oile regalim to the oile regalim. Va'omer lahem ru'u chibaschem l'fnei hamakom. Look how dear you are to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shesilukoi kisiduroi. You put it on, it's like you take it off. You take it off, it's like you put it on. Shnemar lasem lechem chayim b'yam milkasei. What was the question? The question was the shulchan, the nest of the shulchan, also takes place inside, and therefore you didn't consider the nest of Shloimeh, the nest of the Aron, because they're inside. The shulchan was also inside. Says the Gemara, no, the shulchan came outside. So since the shulchan came outside, it was moved. Therefore, tahor mechlal de tamei. It could be makabel tuma because it's not asil and nachas. It's not going to stay in one spot. It's moved out. When is it moved out? B'shas the regel. Now, how if you were there in the regel, how would you know it's fresh? Says the Ritva, you saw smoke. Says the Ritva, you saw smoke coming off it. It wasn't just only that you felt it fresh. You mama saw smoke coming off it. So it's an unbelievable thing. So I saw a shot once. I think I saw it b'shem the Sankachim, albeit I never saw it again. Why of all the kalim in the Beis Hamikdash, when you oil the regel, they didn't take out the menorah, they didn't take out the aron, they didn't take out all the kalim that could take out, they took out what? The shulchan. So it's a very beautiful pshat. What was the purpose of being oil the regel? To bring your kabbanis, to go ahead and bring your ma'aser sheni, to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for the shefa bracha that He gives you. Good. Where does parnasa come from? The Barnei Shalom. The conduit of parnasa in the world is the shulchan, as symbolized by the lechem aponim. Right? We live by the lechem. Symbolized by the lechem aponim, the shulchan is the way parnasa comes to the world. Says that Sankachim beautifully. If you had Baal Bitachin and you realize that what did you see? Smoking hot bread. And if you weren't a Baal Bitachin, what did you see? Weak cold bread. That's what you saw. So Rochi Baskem to show how dare you are in front of what? In front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the pshat over here.
The Lechem HaPanim came out into the Azara every week anyway on Shabbos. They divided.
It's not the Azara. This is in front of the Oli Regalim.
No, what I'm saying is every Shabbos.
Yeah, okay.
The Lechem HaPanim
Right.
came out. They didn't have to bring the Shulchan out only on the Regalim. The Lechem HaPanim itself came out.
The Lechem HaPanim was given to the Kahanim.
Right,
It was given.
It was also taken out.
It was no, but you're not going to bring it out over here in your hands. What the Kahanim? What?
They took them out.
What?
No, they took out the bread by itself. But how
Did
did
they
they
take trays? They take trays out?
The trays were left in the thing.
I think they put the trays were left in. Again, it's machlokes. It's machlokes. But the Kahanim divided it up in the kachim. Where's an early regular going to see this?
They didn't. I don't know if they did it in the Azara. No, it says they bring it out to the Azara. That one was brought out to the
Again,
Azara.
but again, I don't think this was Nazar. I think they brought this out to Harabayas. I'm understanding they brought it all the way out. I think they brought them out of the Magen Mitzvahs. I think when people came, it doesn't say that they're limited to the Azara. It says Elowat Malamish Magbin Oisoy Oiler Regalim. Every Oiler Regal was in the Azara. I don't assume they were. I always learn. I'm telling you, I always learn Pshat. They brought it out to the people. They brought it out to the people, and
But I understand what the heck is. How do you compare it to ours? I wasn't Kodesh Kedashim.
we just said the broidim in Kach Kedashim. It just meant inside. Inside that. Very good, because it's inside. It's inside. You didn't see it. We only considered the ones you could see. Since you couldn't see the shulchan, you couldn't see it. What?
The Lechem HaPanim could have come out of the Azara.
Maybe it was on the shulchan. It could. I was thinking about that. Maybe it's on the shulchan. It could.
Out of the Azara.
Yeah, maybe it's on the shulchan. It could. Could maybe not. Again, this. It's your problem. Again, you can join him in Canada. The conscientious objector. He's gonna run away. First, you're gonna have a little something now. Any what?
The third race is gonna be like the first one.
And these Kahanim got listen. Got 5 people here tonight. 3 Kahanim. That's like we got a majority Kahanim here. Okay. So it's a very geschmack.
I heard your price, sorry.
Don't worry. You have your choice in Akira Kahuna. You have him and him. Him, you may not be Yaitza. So you never know. Furthermore, there's no more Nisim that took place. Not the Bakol Mine Megodim. He planted all type of sweet trees. Shal Zahav. You might simply say him, Bismanam. They would bring out golden fruit in the right time, like real fruit. You want a nest, you got a nest. And when the ruach would go ahead and blow, noishrim, they would go ahead and they would fall off. Shenemar, yirash kalvanoin, periov, right? And it's fruit rough like the fruits of Lebanon. It dried up. When the goyim showed up, it dried up. Shenemar, uporach levonoin umlo, and the flower of levonon dried up. Shenemar, paroyach tifrach v'tagel. Af gilas v'ranein kavel levonon nitzas, that has been seen law. So l'chayri, you have another nest. So when you consider this nest, and after the Gemara, nisei the kaviyah, nisim that are set in one spot like kachashiv. A nest that is kaviyah that's set in one spot. All right, says Rashi, kavuin v'oindim tamidim kaimam. Right, so therefore it's not considered. So the hashdash of the hachi orin kruvim nami nisis the kaviyah nenu. Therefore, that would answer up the orin and the kruvim because they're kaviyah. They stay in one spot and they don't come out. The badim?
Because remember it was wider on the inside.
Yeah, they stayed on the arm. The bottom stayed on the arm.
They took it off when it was inside.
They never took it off. No, bottom can never be
That was
discussed.
the whole purpose. That they had to-
It's the opposite. They kept it on the whole time to show you that you don't need it at all. Nice, right? When the Kohen Gadol, we had the Gemara. You know the place? It said that it was pointless, like the chest of an Isha. That was the bottom. They were pushing up against the broiches. There's a very interesting. It just popped into my head. I'm throwing this out, guys. There's a very interesting Mishnah in Masechta Midas that describes that they had golden grapes. They used to hang from the opening of the Heichel. Gedenkst du, Chaim? There were grapes over there. We brought a shot there that these golden grapes they grew from trees. Ken Zion, these are the trees. Ken, they would make a lot of sense. These are the trees. The golden trees would go ahead and he brings two pshatim. Some people would go ahead and make an dove of grapes. They'd throw them up there. There's another pshat. See, Mendy, you'll become a jeweler also. You'll be rich, Mendy. You'll work hard, but you'll be rich.
Okay. The oven went out. The oven went out when they went in the home. No,
But not when it came to the Kachik, not in the base of English.
only
Only when they went to war, but not in the time of the base of English. The only time it was taken out was Mishkan Shiloh and was captured by the Pelishtim. It never went out again. It never went out again. It never went out. That's why you're here to learn. That's why you're here, right?
Yeah, 2 hours. I don't know what we're trying to-
No, they combined it. After they kibush v'chilik, they combined it. There was it's only one. Anyway, so very geschmack. Hashda, so how could be other teretz? The teretz they consider this because it was a nest that was kabu in a spot we didn't take out. Amamar. So going back over the brisa, some of the nisim we mentioned two. We mentioned that the eish of the maracha was never went out, and we mentioned that the smoke never dissipated at all. Amamar v'oshin maracha. Umihavi Oshin Maracha was the Oshin Maracha. You say the Oshin Maracha went straight up. Was there really Oshin Maracha? But Tanya, Chamisha Devorim Nemru Be'esh Shal Maracha. 5 things it says about the fire that was on the pyre in the Beis Hamikdash. Revutza Kari, it Mamish was Rovitz like a lion. Ubarach Kechama, it was bright like the sun. The Yeshba Mamish, it had tangibility, it was solid. V'oichlan Lachen Kiyavation, it drank up liquid just as it's solid. But usually a liquid puts out a fire. It did not. The Ina Mala Ashton, it did not give up smoke. So how can you say what it did give up smoke? You see that the fire was not give any smoke. And the Gemara, Kika Armina and Bidhead Yoites. Again, there was a fire that was lit that was there all the time. That was a miraculous fire. That's the Ner Tamid that never went out. And then Aaron was Mitzuva to Tanya, V'nostam Aaron HaKoyin, Eish al Mizbeach. Afal Bisha Eish Yeredet V'Shemayim, even though an Eish would come down with Shemayim, nonetheless, Mitzvah Lahevim in a Hedyet. There was a mitzvah to go ahead and bring it from the hedyet. So that's the answer to your question. The smoke that when you say it doesn't have smoke, that was the heavenly fire. But the fire that Aaron put there, the earthly fire, that had smoke. And then it went straight up. Revutz the Kari, we said it was like a lion. Avetanya Mechanina, Sagana Kahanim, Anira Sia, I saw the fire on the Mizbeach, Revutz Kekelev, it was crouching like a dog, like Kasha, Kabe Miktrish and Kabe Migdas Sheni. So they're very, very nice pshat. Guys, who built the Bigdash Mishkan? Shlomo. What's Shevet? Yehuda. Gur Arya Yehuda. Yehuda is compared to what? A lion. Who built the second bias? Persians. Paras. What's the symbol of Paras? The dog. So that's why it was Ravitz Kavat. It was Ravitz Kekelah. That was Ravitz Kekelah. Migdash Sheni Mihavi. Migdash Sheni was there fire at all? It says the Ertze boy ve'echabed, and I'll take pleasure in it, and I'll be glorified. And I read it, I'll be glorified. The Karinon v'ikavda. We read it, even though it's written without a hey. We read it with a hey. Maishna the mechus a hey. What's the reason why it's missing a hey? Elu chamisha devarim shahayu ben bigdash rishon bigdash sheni. These are the 5 things. Very famous Gemara, guys. These are the 5 things that distinguish the Mikdash Rishon and Mikdash Sheni, that they were present in the Mikdash Rishon and missing in the Mikdash Sheni. Ve'elu hein, Arin. First what is the Arin, right? Arin. V'kapoiris is considered, the top of the Arin is considered what? One thing. Arin and kapoiris. Ukruvim. That's 1. Eish is 2. There's our question, guys. That Eish, it's missing the Eish. That's 2. The Shechina is missing. That's 3. Ruach HaKodesh is 4. Urim v'tumim, and the Urim v'tumim is 5. So l'chayr, what do you see? You see that there was no Eish in the second bias. So why do you give me a teretz that why? That in the Mikdash Sheni there was what? Smoke, that like a dog. There was no smoke. There was no fire. Amri in Miyahavi, it was there, but Silui Messiah. It wasn't helped. It didn't help. Like in the first bias, the fire helped. The second bias, it didn't help, but the fire was there. Now, here the question is like this: Urim v'tumim. What is the Urim v'tumim? What is the Urim V'Tumim? Hashem's name. So is it a part of a beged? Is it part of the 8 begadim? It's not.
Couldn't be if it was, then you couldn't have a fine God.
Frek Taisvis, Urim V'Tumim, Urim V'Tumim have. They did have an Urim V'Tumim. Shem Loikein Chaya Kohen Gadol Mechusar Begadim. So you see that the Urim V'Tumim is considered one of the garments of the Kohen Gadol. Kohen Gadol needs 8 garments. So if he's missing the Urim V'Tumim, he'll be possible to the Avodah. Elamah, Elaloi Hoyu Meishivim L'Nishalim Behen. It was there, but if you asked it, it didn't answer. If you Taisa said, yeah, be aware. There's big raid on this. There's a Rav in Perik Dalit from Beis Apira who says that it's not part of the begadim, so it won't be a problem. So go for the dialogue with Chaim HaKayin, really is machlokes Rishonim. But like Taisa, clearly it's part of the begadim. He says it openly, right? But there's a sheet in that. But Taisa Kishmak answer, right? The Kishmak answer, it didn't work. It didn't work. That would show that if there's no Ruach HaKodesh, there's no Shechina, there's no Urim V'Tumim, that would all tie together. They're very similar, right? You're missing a connection. You're missing that connection to the Rebbeinu Shalom. Again, the Migdash, the bias Sheni was bias Sheni only in terms of being able to do many halachas, but the presence of the Shechina, the period that it was we were underneath foreign rule. It was not like the golden age of the first bias with Shlomo and the cohorts. They ruled, and we were in first place. We're not Jet fans. Now, says the Gemara Vaita. I'm going to say Shisha Tanaban and Sheish Eishes Hain. There's 6 types of Eishes. The Gemara will explain each one. Sheish Eishes Hain. Yesh Eicheles Veina Shaisa. There's an Eish that eats and doesn't drink. We'll explain all of these. V'yesh Shaisha Veina Eicheles. There's one that drinks and doesn't eat. V'yesh Eicheles V'Shaisa. The one that eats and doesn't drink. V'yesh Eicheles Lachen Kiyavation. There's one who eats and drinks equally. V'yesh Eish Doicha Eish. There's one Eish that goes ahead and pushes out another Eish. Okay, now, yesh eish echeles ve'ein shaisa. In other words, that's hadi done. That's ours. It eats what solid ve'ein shaisa because the liquid's going to put it out. Shaisa ve'ein echeles. It drinks but it doesn't eat. Liquids and not solids. What is that? Is the chulin? If you have fever, guys, right? So it's shaisa ve'ein echeles. Doesn't need weight at you, but takes away your liquid. Oicheles v'shoisa both. The Eliyahu by Hara Carmel, the sieve, v'samayim bat'ola, and the mine that was in the trenches, lochacha the eish ate up. So therefore, by Eliyahu and Hara Carmel, when he commanded that the eish come down from Shemayim and lap up and burn up the kabbanis, not only did it burn the solid kabbanis, but in addition, it also burnt the water. So you see, that's an eish oicheles both yeveshim and lachim. Oicheles lachim ki yeveshim, the maracha. That's the eish of the maracha. Yesh eish doicha eish. That's by Gavriel. Guys, we had to go in Arvei Pesachim. Achanam Yishol v'Azariah. So the Melech of Borad wanted to come and put it out. Why did Gavriel Taina? People say that's not such a ness because cold puts out what? Heat. It's a big ness for eish to be doicha eish, and that's what happened. Yesh eish ochelish eish the Shechina. That's the eish that eats eish is the Shechina. Damamar hoishet etzboah beinehem. The Shechina placed his. By the time of creation, he placed his finger between the malachim and the sarfim, and he burnt the malachim who themselves are made of eish. One of the nisim you said that the smoke of the maracha that went up, that nothing could go ahead and dissipate it and make it move. I have of Yitzchak Bar Avdimi, the Moitzi Yontif Achron, in the last day of Yontif Shalchag, Shmini Atzeres, I called Soifim La'oshna Maracha. Everyone will look at the Lashon Racha. This is the Farmer's Almanac for farmers in Israel. The Farmer's Almanac will tell you what to plant that year. They're going to tell you what the crops are going to be like. The investors who want to invest in commodities, right? And the wheat crop. This is good enough. So now, Noit the Klapet Safain, if it goes to the south, the north, meaning it's a south wind, guys, right? If it's going towards the north, it's being blown by a south wind. Aniyim Smechim, the Niyim will be happy. Balabatim Atzovim, the Balabatim will be happy. Why? There's going to be a lot of rain that year. If there's a lot of rain, it's going to ruin the crop. So therefore, they're going to have to sell it at a lower price, not to spoil. So the Niyim are happy. The Paris will rot. Not the Klape Dorim. If there's a north wind, that means that it's going to be the south will be moved. The smoke goes to the south. Then Aniyim Atzovim. The Aniyim will be what? Will be sad. And therefore they'll be able to get a good price for it. Not the Klape Mizrach, if it goes to east because of the west wind. Hakol smeichem, everyone's happy. I guess that's a good mix. Klapi ma'ariv, hakol atzofim. But if it sways to the west, that means there's a strong east wind. Then what? Then everyone's so how can you tell me that it goes straight up? You see that that it moves, that it dissipates. Says someone the you know what happens? It's like a palm tree. What does a palm tree do? It bends and then it comes back. So not pshat the smoke went straight up and stayed that way. It went this way, this way, this way, and this way. And then they could tell what it's going to be, but it never dissipated totally. It came back to its spot. That's a nest. That's probably a bigger nest than going straight up. Like you imagine a wind comes, the smoke goes this way and then comes back. That's even a bigger nest. The avdure lehave mivdura, but it didn't scatter. Amamar going back over the Brisa. Klapi mizrach hakol smechem. Every klapi mizrach, everyone was happy. Klapi ma'ariv hakol atzav, everyone was sad. Uriminu alias you stira. So it's much now. A west wind is good, and an east wind's no good, right? Uriminu mizrachas la'olam yafeh. That's a stira right there. You just told me the east wind's no good. Arabas la'olam kasha. You just told me it is good. Ruach tzvainis yafel lechitim. Ruach tzvainis is good for the wheat. B'shoshev shlish when it grows a third. The kasha l'zeisim, it's not good for the olives. There's machahin chaytim when they bloom. Ruach droim is a south wind kasha lechitim is hard for the wheat. B'shashev shlish when it brings a third. V'yafel l'zeisim. There's machahin chaytim. V'amar b'yosef yitim b'ma'isutra. Simunecha to know what's good or bad. Shulchan b'tzafin. Now what the shulchan has what on it? The lachem apanim. What's lachem apanim made from? Wheat. So you know if the south, the north is good, wheat is good. Menorah has olive oil. The darim, so that's a simon. Bottom line is, Hay Marba Day. Each one, the shulchan is Marba the wheat, and the menorah is Marba Zaysim. Bottom line is, we see that the east wind is good and the west wind is no good. It's a stira. Everything more like Kasha. Halon. In Bavel, it's good since Bavel is moist, so therefore the east wind will be good, right? The east wind will be good for Bavel, and Eretz Yisrael, which is dry, then the west wind is good. So it depends where you're coming from. Hajlacha Shivas Yomim, Hajlacha Shivas Yomim, Hajlacha Shivas Yomim.
I thought there's no winds are bad.